Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, 5:06 p.m. Let's call roll, please.
Bonds, Keith Montgomery,
Here.
Kay Lynn,
Here.
Greg Murray,
Here.
Harvey Rowe,
Here.
Donna Oje,
Here.
Chair Robert Lee.
I'm here. Thanks everyone for being here. So we are starting tonight with the staff report. Kenny, are you going to kick that off for us? Are you with us, Kenny?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yeah, welcome. Good to see you, Kenny.
All right. I was just gonna start off with the fun stuff, which is, at least I think it's fun, is the new exhibit, our new clownfish and jellyfish exhibit. And it's going really well. You should have the project timeline in front of you. I apologize, but when those things go out, it's kind of, we're like a week behind, so I'm a week ahead of you. So it's been updated since then, and we're progressing really well. The guys are moving at a pretty good speed, and the budget's looking good right now. It's obviously it's really early on the timeline. As you can see, the end date that I have is set for July 26th. But that kind of is more of a cushion. I expect to be done sooner. We expect to be done around by the week of June 7th. And so kind of worst case scenario, we're putting it towards the end of July. But at the rate that everybody's moving, and we've made some shortcuts, we found some items that we will not have to fabricate. And we have a kind of a different technique. One of the things that's time consuming, I know it sounds odd, but is building these cabinets that hold these exhibits. As you can imagine how heavy they are. You know, for every gallon of water is about almost 10 pounds. So a 1,000-gallon tank, you know, you have just 10,000 pounds of water just without anything else. So these stands or cabinets we typically build ourselves, but we would the ideal, I mean, the quickest thing would be to get steel ones that are already prefab. The problem is steel rusts. So, but we've kind of found a way around that, and we're taking those cabinets, those stands, and we're rhino lining them completely. So they're basically encased in rhino lining. It's kind of like the bed liner of a pickup truck. And we've already had several done that way, some smaller ones, and they seem to be excellent. So that's going to speed us up. But so all these stands and cabinets, we won't have to build any of them. We can just order them already fabricated, get them rhino lined, and put them into place. So that is, and they're reasonably priced. As a matter of fact, it's pretty much a wash. So that's kind of a good thing to kind of speed us up. If y'all review this, do y'all have anybody have any questions on what I have written down here? So far, what we're doing, the guys are working on the jellyfish grow out, which is in the wet lab. And so they've already put some stem walls up. The flood table tanks have already been fabricated. The stands are done and rhino lined. So the next step, the electrical is done. The next step is to start doing the filtration. So that's coming together really well. Also, the demolition of the existing gallery, the north wall, is complete. So if next time you're at the aquarium, check that out. It's kind of odd to see no wall there. And on the south wall, the animals that we kept to display, we moved to the south wall, switched out some exhibits, and that is looking really nice. It's almost done. And so we're moving pretty well, and you can start to see now progress being made. Does anybody have any questions on this exhibit so far? All right.
For me.
Okay. Some of the new things that we've added, I was just going to kind of give you an update. The VR machine, I don't know if anybody's seen that. I know some of you guys have, and it's doing really well. We added a second set of pods. So we're approaching $50,000 since we've received them, and now that's a profit share split. But wow, it's just been a hit, and people have really enjoyed it. And we're getting a Halloween program, which is going to be fun. So for when we do our Halloween, and then also a Christmas one. So that's going to be a neat addition. Our mechanical shark ride also is doing really well. It's already more than half paid for itself. And it's kind of a neat thing when you walk in the aquarium, people love looking at it. And our hurricane simulator is getting real close to paying for itself by now. So we're doing really well with those items. We've added some other fun stuff that guests can do. We've added the encounters tours. So we've identified, and I've explained it in some of my updates, but it's a interactive tour that guests can sign up for an extra fee, and they get a private tour with one of our biologists or education staff. And we have an otters encounter where people can go and help train the otters, the river otters. We have a turtle tour where they can go behind the scenes and see the turtle, watch the turtle being fed, and as well as a shark feeding tour. So where they can go in the shark quarantine, they can actually feed a zebra shark and then watch the baby bull sharks eat. And we're also looking into a few other unique experiences as well. It's been really popular. That combined with our tour groups that we do, our behind the scenes groups, they're not interactive, and they're not a private tour, but our shark tours where we take guests above the shark exhibit have been super popular as well. We've started selling masks, custom masks at the entrance. And we're now also selling our shark teeth again, so our wood shark teeth, and that's been really popular. As you know, we started requiring our guests to wear masks a few weeks ago, and we haven't really seen. It's hard to tell if we've seen a bump in attendance because slowly our attendance is getting better. It's a lot better than it was. We were pretty much at about a 40% drop in attendance, and now we're kind of slowly inching ourselves up. We're at about 35%, but it's just slowly coming back. Same thing with our revenue. And I'm gonna pass it on to Andrea here in a minute so she can talk to you about events and things that are going on in her area. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah.
Kenny, oh,
Go ahead.
okay. What is RTU 13?
It stands for Rooftop Unit 13, and that's the air conditioning heating pack.
Okay,
It's on the roof.
okay.
Yeah.
Kenny, when the revenue from the other tours and whatever, does that just show up in ticket sales?
It's a separate line item.
It is?
Yeah, it's under, and Robert, are you on?
Yes, it's actually being combined on the Encode side. So the financials that we present on a monthly basis to council is it's grouped in with education.
It's grouped in with education. Okay, all right,
Right.
thank you. That's helpful.
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out where it was landing.
Kenny, I don't know if this is really a question for you or not, but are you involved in the flagpole or the license plates?
Yeah, to a certain extent. What question do you have?
Well,
pertaining
I
to
got
that?
a person told me today that they went online, had a little trouble, but they went online and got signed up for the license plate, but they never heard from anybody. And I said, well, I don't know if you're supposed to hear from them or not, but I'll ask you. So, and I didn't know if we had met the quota.
Okay.
And I didn't know if that was something you were involved in or OAF or who.
Yeah, that's being handled through OAF.
Okay.
And Matt has updates me on the numbers, and I think it's been about, I want to say almost a month since he's and I forgot the numbers he has so far.
Kenny, I can help answer that.
Okay.
Matt came by the aquarium yesterday. He has about 100 people who have provided their checks. We have over 200 people who said they were interested in a license plate. We just need to obtain checks from 100 of those people to actually get those 200 fulfilled. And so he has been in communication. He sent out about 2 different emails to the people, 2 or 3, to follow up with them, their checks and all of that. So he is in correspondence with them. And then myself and Lisa Chittister at the aquarium are the ones responsible for ultimately
Frozen.
Yeah.
I think we lost you, Andrea.
yesterday measure the poles around the flagpole.
I'm sorry, you faded out there for a minute.
We lost you at the word ultimately.
Oh, so ultimately we're in communication with them. And also Matt came by yesterday and we were talking about the flagpole, and he provided proper dimensions to provide to our designer, Chris Varela, so that we could start working on building out the bricks, because he said we have about 15 bricks for Circle of Honor.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else, Kenny?
That's great. I think that's a good segue to turn it over to Andrea. Thank you very much.
Right. Well, just to piggyback on some of the things that Kenny was saying, our education department is working really hard on booking encounters and tours. Every single day we offer them, up to 5 times a day. Alyssa Rodriguez has done a tremendous job really organizing all of that with the biology staff. And those have been going well, and we hope to see a surge in sales now that we offer them on the weekends. Anne has done a tremendous job with Alyssa organizing our virtual field trip programs that we're going to launch next week, so that those will be available to schools that are unable to come do field trips at the aquarium. So we look forward to that. In terms of events, we're getting many more inquiries for birthday parties, so our weekends are looking a little more full. And we're also looking at potentially hosting a large event for election night. So we're hopeful about getting more large private events. In terms of public events, we have a sip and see next Tuesday on during the evening, when we're usually open later, and we're working with our catering company. We're hoping visitors can come, and they're going to, just for about $10 on top of admission, they get to go around and try different beer at 5 different watering holes, and the beers kind of correspond to the different exhibits or galleries or animals. So we're excited to try that and boost attendance on Tuesday nights. We're also looking ahead at Halloween. We're looking to do that a little different this year. We're going to do 3 weekends of Halloween, so it will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which I believe or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm sorry. We'll start October 16th. And then the next one, I'm looking at my calendar, will be the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And then we'll do the final 3 nights for a total of 9 nights on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, because Saturday is Halloween. So we'll do 9 nights and we'll cap it at 500 people each night. And so we look forward to hosting that and providing safety precautions throughout the aquarium as well. So we've been working with vendors and talking to them about that. But we anticipate to see a good number of people who visit this record attendance last year, but we just want to bring in as many people this year in a safe manner. And that will be announced tomorrow on our website and social media accounts. And then also, I just want to talk about, I think all of you received our annual report. If you haven't yet, we're happy to bring it to you. It's also on our website. Myself and Lisa Chittister worked tirelessly with all of our departments in the biology department. And if you flip through, you can see we had a really tremendous year, even despite COVID. We were really going to see I believe our strongest year ever in terms of attendance and sales and across the departments. But hopefully you take a minute to look through and see all the incredible things we've done with education. We mentioned obviously our partnership with the Israel Aquarium in here and with the Australia Wildlife Group for their fires. We also talk about the research that the different departments are doing, some updates with biology, some conferences they attended. We also mentioned that photo arc when we had the Joel Sartori come and take pictures, which his new book will be coming out soon, and that will be exciting. We obviously have a lot of new exhibits and attractions that Kenny touched on today. The octopus was a huge win for us. And despite COVID, Kenny had mentioned at another JAA meeting that there was a lot of maintenance work done, and our team built out a ton of education content for adults and for their children. You'll also see our milestone events that we worked on with Josh Driscoll and the Chamber with Sharklahoma. Last year was our first one during the fiscal year. And some fun social media numbers were up tremendously year over year. We even launched our TikTok account, and there's a lot of great stuff in here to look at. So hopefully you all take a look. Like I said, it's also on our website for people to review, but it's a really great way to reflect on the amazing year we had despite COVID, what we were able to overcome as a whole organization.
Yeah.
So do you have Kenny
Great
doing,
job this year.
do you have Kenny doing some dance routines on TikTok yet?
They don't want to scare them away.
We'll get there sometime soon. We're still just playing with our animals and making them the superstars, but we'll definitely get to Kenny soon.
Okay, all right, good.
And I should also say that we're part of Visit Tulsa's tourism program right now, their Visit Tulsa Safely program. We're one of their partners, and today I did a virtual tour with other South Tulsa partners for potential businesses who events at the aquarium in the near future. So that was really good visibility for us as well.
Wonderful. Congratulations on a great year, and with everything you had to deal with, you managed to just go even further than anyone thought. So congratulations, and congratulations on your recent wedding.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, Aaron.
Thanks.
All right. Well, does anyone have any questions for Kenny or for Andrea? Okay. Well, do you all have anything else before we move on?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. Yeah.
All right.
Come
Well,
check
thanks again,
out.
Fripp.
Come check out our progress on the exhibits. Pretty neat stuff.
Absolutely. Well, good job. And we will move on to our first order of business. Sorry, I'm getting scrolled up here. Consideration and appropriate action relating to requests for approval of the consent agenda. Any questions or motions on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, thank you. Let's vote.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Lynn,
I think you're on mute. Yep.
Yes.
Murray,
And you're muted, Craig.
Did the same thing. Yes, sorry.
Rowe,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Shirley.
Yes. And we will pull item 2 and we'll move on to item 3, discussion on the amazing invertebrate gallery remodel project. Kenny, it's back to you.
All right. I'm just going to refer to my initial intro. I kind of jumped the gun on that. I apologize. And since I already went over it, does anybody have any more questions?
Any questions come to anyone since?
Kenny, how's your propagation of the animals going?
It's going really well. We our problem species, which is a jellyfish called a mystigius. It's a Palauan jellyfish. In the beginning, we were really floundering, and the biologists have come a long way. Going to the West Coast and touring various facilities, plus our own trial and error here, and some particular drugs that are out there but not very well known that we've been using, has really paid off. And we started by, we were successful in propagating some mystigius polyps that turned into medusas. I'm kind of hesitating because there's a lot of jargon. So, but basically they wouldn't get past a certain stage and they were kind of deformed. So we were making little mutant jellyfish. And so that prompted us, we purchased some wild-caught adults that we currently have. But since then, we've made corrections and some strives, and now we're pretty successful at getting our medusas to adults, and to the point where now our adults look better than the wild-caught ones. So there's a big sigh of relief right now, and I mean, we're basically in the home stretch on that species. Yeah, we're doing really well. So as far as the jellyfish species that we're showing, we're in good shape. We're actually really busting at the seams with jellyfish. That's why we're kind of scrambling to get that grow out done in the wet lab. That way we have a lot more room and we can move all these guys from our current jellyfish grow out or propagation, which is in the gallery that we're remodeling. Soon as that wet lab grow out is complete, we're going to move all the animals over and then tear the current one down and rebuild it. But having too many jellyfish is a good problem to have. So we're extremely confident that we're going to be doing just fine. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we're sending a team to St. Louis to Wonders of Wildlife. We're sending a team to Wonders of Wildlife in Missouri to help them with a particular species of jellyfish and trying this particular drug that they have not tried yet. So we're in good shape with that. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right.
That's fantastic.
Kenny, when you talk
Well,
about
good job.
the drug,
Thanks for sticking with that.
is
I'm
it
sorry,
for
what?
reproduction? Is the drug a reproduction or is it a sedative when you're transporting? What's the drug used for?
So it's called a indole, and what it's used for, the life cycle. What happens is you start a medusa, which is an adult jellyfish. That's what you're accustomed to seeing. Will spawn what's called planula, and then the planula will settle and create a polyp. Then the polyp, let's call it, will strobilate. And that strobilization is what pops off little, what's called a phyra. They look like baby jellyfish. And that's the phyra is what you will actually can recognize as a jellyfish per se. As it starts to grow, it becomes a miniature formed jellyfish, and that's the medusa. So the trick is, the problem is getting the polyps to strobilate and create the ephyra. That's the hurdle. We can get the planula, we can get them to settle, but and create and settle into polyps, but to actually strobilate and create the ephyra, that's the holdup right there. And this is a chemical. You can chemically induce that with this particular drug called an indole. And
So it stimulates what you're looking to gain.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
I don't envy these guys, you know, and there's there's different species, and they need different things. And
Sure.
another thing we found is, you know, and this is something we just did on our own. You know, I've got half a dozen biologists that are just researching for I don't know how many months now, and calling every single place under the sun, and kind of taking all that information, and we're having meetings on it, and then that spawns, no pun intended, spawns other ideas that we have and different avenues that, you know, of thought. And so another species that we have is called the upside down jellyfish, or Cassiopeia. We've had some pretty decent luck with it, but we've been trying to select. We have one genetic strain, which we thought was a genetic strain variant, that has much prettier colors. And so we've been trying to select for it. Well, the problem is it doesn't settle on the various substrates very well. And then we realized that it's actually a different species. It's from the South Pacific, and we do not know how we ended up with it. It must have come in on some live rock at some point in time. But it gets out-competed by the Caribbean species, the more drab color one. So we were trying to figure out what substrates would work best for the planula to settle on. And because these are a mangrove species, they live in mangroves, which are, you know, estuarine type trees. They're a tree that lives in the estuaries in tropical coasts around the world. We thought, hey, maybe they will settle on rotten mangrove leaves, because that's what they settle on in the wild. So we brought mangrove leaves back from Florida, from the Keys, when we were down there getting the otters. I actually was in the Keys, so I brought some mangrove leaves back, and you know, that was the ticket. And so they love these mangrove leaves. It's far superior to just plastic or glass or just crushed coral substrate. It's these mangrove leaves that they seek out and settle on. So, you know, that kind of that was a huge hurdle right there.
Wow.
So, yeah, and that didn't come from anyone. That was just something we, you know.
By accident.
Yeah, just theories. So.
Yeah. So
That's
Kenny,
great. Thank you.
Kenny, are there certain species that can't be in the same tank, or?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the biggest factor is you know, as far as determining what species can go where or with what, is is whether they're a cold or a warm water jellyfish. So we have both types of jellyfish. So we have the big, beautiful Pacific nettles that you've seen that we have, and then the moon jellies, which are kind of just your clear, jellyfish, transparent. Those are cold water species. And then our warm water species is the Palauans or Mastigius, and then the Cassiopeia or upside down jellyfish. So those are the 4 jellyfish that we have that we're working with. Just temperature alone, you can't combine. And then of the 2 cold water ones, the Pacific nettles and the moon jellies, the Pacific nettles eat moon jellies. So we actually feed our nettles chopped up moon jellies. So obviously they can't go together either. They can.
Well, they can for a while.
The nettles would appreciate it. Cnidarians, which encompass jellyfish, anemones, and corals, they look really pretty, but everything is basically chemical warfare with them, and it's all their stinging cells. So one of the most violent exhibits we have is our coral exhibit. They shoot out nematocysts and try to kill each other and that kind of thing. And jellies are similar in that way. And for instance, our upside down jellies, even in the wild, they will basically throw out little mucus balls in the wild, and they're basically packed with stinging cells, nematocysts. And if you're ever swimming near mangroves in Florida and you just start feeling like you're kind of getting stung by jellyfish and you don't know why, that's what that is. And that's also warfare, trying to, basically saying, this is my domain, you're not getting near me. So yeah, they're tricky to put together. To answer your question more bluntly is no, we really can't mix any of these species together. It just doesn't work out. The way we're going to show these guys, though, another quick interesting thing, real quick, is we're showing as far as in the gallery, we're showing the upside down jellies in one exhibit, and next to it we're going to be showing the Palauan or the Mastigius. And the story with that is that both of those jellyfish are photosynthetic, so they require sunlight to grow their food. They have zooxanthellae, which is a symbiotic algae that lives within their tissue, just like a coral does. So it needs light. They need light. They're also carnivorous, but they also need the light. And so they live in mangrove areas, tropical mangrove areas, or lagoons. So we're calling these, what you would call them is lagoonal jellyfish. So that's what the story is, and the separation is lagoonal jellyfish. We're showing those 2 species. We're showing mangroves, and they're the animals are gonna be brightly lit with the sunlight, and then it's gonna move over to the deep water, open ocean jellyfish, carnivorous open ocean jellyfish. They're not photosynthetic, and that's where it's going to transition into the very large sea nettle exhibit. So it's going to be a neat story as you're walking through it.
Good. One last question that's not related. Is there been any more experimental tryouts for getting the loggerheads together, or has that just permanently been called they're not going to get along?
Yeah, it's pretty much that they're not going to get along. We tried that one last time a while back, and it would be one thing if it was like kind of, they lasted for a few weeks, and then but it was as soon as it was right out of the chute. They just, as soon as they saw each other, started fighting. So I don't think that's gonna pan out. Putting them together.
And it's not. I mean, there's no other option about bringing a different one in there. It's not. It's just having any of them in there.
It's that species and the fact that they're males and the fact that they're sexually mature. So that's the problem. That species is much less social than, say, a green sea turtle. And one of the reasons is green sea turtles forage. They eat algae and seagrass and things. And so it's not uncommon to see many, many green sea turtles in one spot foraging and that kind of thing. Loggerheads are more solitary, and they're just more aggressive. And I don't really know why, but they just are, and more territorial. And so if we had females, we could probably have that work. But, you know, these guys turn sexually mature right when we open that exhibit. It's just bad luck. And we started noticing it about a year earlier or two, that they started kind of fighting more and more. But it was like he threw a switch when that exhibit was open.
And is there any possibility of trading a male for a female?
Yes, possibly, but then the male will be constantly trying
Pestering?
to. Yeah, I think it'd be even worse.
Okay, well, enough of that. I just curious.
Yeah, I think we'd have to get 2 females, which would be very difficult to try to find 2. See, the problem with these turtles is most of the time when they're in captivity because they are a rehab animal and they're wounded to the point where they cannot be released back into the wild. So they're usually boat strikes and things. So you'll have animals with their shell is deformed or scarred badly, or they're missing a flipper or this and that. So to find large, pristine adults like that is really hard to come by. We got lucky because these animals were part of a Head Start program where they were hatchlings that were supposed to be released by a certain amount of time, and for whatever reason they were not, and so they could not imprint, and they were deemed unreleasable. There's nothing physically wrong with them, and that's we just kind of lucked out to get those animals. So to find 2 females that first of all, no one's going to want the males anyhow because of the same problem. So it would really be a fluke to find that situation. Yeah.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah, Harvey, it's not as unusual as you think. I know in the aquarium there in Boston, they have this huge central tank, and they have 1 green sea turtle in it. Now it's a monster when it goes, over 500 pounds. But it's been there since that exhibit opened 20 years ago. But it's not that unusual to just have 1 in an exhibit.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I wish we had more time to hear Kenny tell us about all these animals. It's always so interesting. Great question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We're kind of getting close to butting up against the council meeting, so we'll have to close pretty quickly. But are there any other questions before we adjourn?
No.
Nope.
All right. Are there any motions to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
All right, I heard a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Let's vote.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Shirley.
Yes, we're adjourned. Good to see everybody.
All right.
Have a good week.
You too.